At last, the new Nintendo Switch 2 was fully introduced, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. Why? I dedicated myself to gathering the most important information from the presentation and complemented it with everything that was published after the presentation in official media, networks, and other things. If you're interested in the Switch 2, if you want to know absolutely everything about this console, you're in the right video. Subscribe. But before we start talking about the new Nintendo, I have to make a small clarification. And that is, in today's video, we are going to focus only on the console and its functions. We are not going to focus on the video games, the announced trailers, or any of that, because we are going to leave that for another video. Today, we are only going to talk about the console's hardware. Subscribe to the channel, and let's start directly with the most important thing. The release date is going to be June 5th. And the console will be launched in two formats, the base console without any game and the base console plus. The new Mario Kart, which will obviously cost a bit more. These two products will be available in small stores, distributors, and also online, depending on the country and region. Regarding the price of these two packages, well, hold on tight. Because the Nintendo Switch 2, in its base model without a game, is going to cost $450 suggested retail price. And the Nintendo Switch 2, with the new Mario Kart, is going to cost $500, also suggested retail price. I know that the vast majority of you are from Latin America, and you know very well that this is not the price we are going to pay. The console is going to end up costing $600, $700, or $800 in the worst case scenario. And yes, it is so. Right now, I can't tell you the real price of the console in Latin America because we don't have it. We only have this price, which is the recommended price in the United States. Later on, I'm going to dedicate myself to calculating what the final price would be for us in the different countries of Latin America. But I'm going to do that later. Remember, it won't be worth less than $450. And probably in Latin America, 600 or 700, 700 in this. In Europe, reservations will be open from the 8th of April, and the console will cost 470 euros or 510 euros with Mario Kart included. These prices are much more respectable in Europe and will be these exactly. For now, we stick with these prices. We will see later on. Well, we will keep updating and we will see what happens, at least in America. The new Nintendo Switch 2 is essentially a classic Nintendo Switch. The one we already knew, the one we already played, but with some improvements and some extra features that give another gaming experience. And to go in an orderly and neat way, first we are going to talk about the technical characteristics of this new console, or at least what we know so far. We have confirmed a full high-definition screen that is 1080p of 7.9 inches, much larger than the original Switch. And we have confirmed the same console thickness. That is, it is just as thick. In addition, the Nintendo Switch 2 screen will be able to reach 120 frames per second in video games that are compatible with this function. All this accompanied by a high dynamic range function that will allow us sharper colors and more definition on whites and blacks. For now, only the Nintendo Switch 2 version with a liquid crystal display screen has been announced, and there has been no talk of an organic light-emitting diode screen or any other technology. Regarding the processor, the amount of RAM to very technical specifications within the console. We don't know anything because they didn't comment on anything. We still need to know about the battery, we still need to know about many other things, but I suppose we will find out over time. We know the device has a 120 Hz full high definition liquid crystal display screen. Regarding the storage of Nintendo Switch 2, we know that the console will come with 256 gigabytes of storage to store games, captures, matches, and other things. This is 8 times more than what the Nintendo Switch 1 originally came with. The Joy-Cons are indeed magnetic, and Nintendo assures us that they are not at all sensitive. That is, they are not going to come off just like that. And they will only be released from the console if we access a button on the back and press it. Otherwise, they assure us that the Joy-Con will remain there. The top buttons of the Joy-Con are going to be larger than in the Model 1 of Nintendo Switch. The Joy-Con will also be slightly larger in size compared to the Nintendo Switch. In addition, we are also going to have the analogs a bit larger. Regarding the controllers, the mouse-style function for the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons was confirmed, which will allow us to control some video games as if it were a PC with a traditional mouse. This mouse function will be available on both the right Joy-Con and the left Joy-Con. And there will even be video games that will take advantage of both Joy-Cons at the same time to offer different gameplay experiences. And there will be titles like Civilization 7, which will allow us to play as if we were playing on a computer with a mouse. And I think this is where this feature will be most utilized, since strategy and management games are going to greatly benefit from using the Joy-Con as if it were a mouse. In addition, we were assured that in the future, more titles and games will appear that take advantage of this feature in different and more imaginative ways. That remains to be seen. An integrated microphone will be at the top of the console, which I'm going to tell you about now. Why? It's because it has some very interesting features, and we will also have support for 3-dimensional audio, regardless of whether or not you have pro headphones, because you will be able to hear much more immersive audio. And all that, how does the console do it? How does this audio work? Well, we don't know exactly, they just announced it. Nintendo Switch 2 now comes with a wider and more adjustable stand, which not only allows us more stability, but also to reach different angles and positions, to be more comfortable when playing on desktop. And in addition to the USB that we have under the console to charge it, we also have a USB on top that also serves to charge it. So that, while we play on the table or have the console resting on our abdomen, the console can be charged from the top, making the use of the console much more practical, especially in portable mode when we charge it. The dock was also renewed, and not only do we have a much more stylized design, but we also have new functions. Like, for example, support for 4K resolutions up to 60 frames per second with active high dynamic range when we play on the television. They also added a cooling system to the dock to cool the base and the console. While we are playing in this mode, since the system is a bit more demanding, a cooling system that provides us with an air circuit that goes upwards, obviously, and cools the console a bit when it's under a lot of demand. Regarding the technical section, this is all we have confirmed so far. And let's go with the functions of Nintendo Switch 2, because this is where it gets interesting and there's a lot to discuss. First of all, it should be said that all Nintendo Switch 1 games will be compatible with Nintendo Switch 2, both digital and physical. What we still don't know is whether the Nintendo Switch 1 charger will work with the 2, or if all the peripherals from the 1 will work with the 2. It is expected that yes, but we do not have confirmation that everything will be 100% compatible. Do you have a Switch 1 case? I'm not sure if the Switch 2 will fit since it's larger. Do you have the Switch 1 charger? It will likely charge the Switch 2, but I'm unsure if it will work in dock mode. Do you have a Pro controller for the Switch 1? It will probably work with the Switch 2. What we don't know is if the Joy-Con from Switch 2 will be able to pair with Switch 1 and things like that. We still lack. They will progress gradually. There's still time before the console launches. Now let's discuss additional Switch 2 features, beginning with the well-known button. 100A new button on the Joy 100 Ons that was added to this new version of Switch to fulfill the function of controlling the new communication and chat system that this console is going to bring. Do you remember that I told you that the top of the Nintendo Switch had a small microphone? Well, it turns out that this microphone is to capture our voice, and so we can participate in this new chat system. Will it allow us and 4 other players to communicate in real time while we play video games? Whether we're playing the same video game, like Mario Kart, or we're playing different video games. But we want to be in a chat room, talking to each other. In addition to this new interactive chat function, so to speak, we can add the use of a camera, which obviously is not free. It costs about $60. This will allow us to broadcast our image in real time with our friends while we play. Obviously, Nintendo's focus with this new Switch 2 is to share video games as if we were playing in local cooperative, even if we are online. The function of sharing our game, our chat, or even using the camera is a paid function. Do you have to pay for Switch Online? If not, you can't use it? But from the start and until March 31st, 2026, even if you don't have Switch Online, you will be able to use this function. because Nintendo wants to test the function and wants to see if people are interested before they start charging for it. In addition, there will be some video games like Super Mario Jamboree that are going to use the microphone, voice control E, and even the camera to participate in certain minigames. Activities and things like that using the camera, even to put our faces into the game. I don't know who might be interested, but here it is. They even proposed mini-games using the body and the camera. Are you seeing it on screen? I'm not sure what to make of this. Regarding the cartridges, they are obviously going to be the same size as the Nintendo Switch one. The Switch 2 controllers will be red, making them distinctive from others to ensure compatibility. Regarding the memories, well, you can use the same expansion port. Nothing more than for Nintendo Switch 2, only the Micro-Secure Digital Express Go, which are like the Micro-Secure Digital, but faster. On Nintendo Switch 2, we are going to have 3 types of video games. Native Switch games, 2 Switch games, 1 backwards compatible, and enhanced games from Switch 1. Just like what happened with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, we are going to have backwards compatibility with previous titles. We are going to have new titles and also old titles that have been improved. For example, Zelda games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Titles that have their Nintendo Switch 1 version, and if you pay an extra, you get the Nintendo Switch 2 version with graphic improvements, performance, and all that. The upcoming Metroid and Pokemon games will each have versions for both Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. The selection of games will be expanded over time, with more added and improvements sold separately. There are games like Zelda, where if you pay for online and have it active, the improvements are free. But there are other titles that are not direct and you will have to pay for the improvement separately. It's still unclear how it will work or how much the improvement will cost. Regardless, they won't give you anything for free. It's the same formula that PlayStation applied, with PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 exactly the same. Will the online service for the Nintendo Switch remain unchanged? It's exactly the same service and it works for the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. But if you pay for the expansion pack, that is, the most expensive subscription of Nintendo Online, in addition to the catalog of games that this subscription already includes, they are going to give you some GameCube games that for now a handful have been confirmed and that will later be expanded. You already know how it is, right? And the last feature of Nintendo Switch 2 that we have to discuss is called Game Share, and it's the feature that will allow us to share video games between consoles. Nintendo Switch. This function will work between one console that shares and up to 3 consoles to which you share the video game. This is always provided that the console sharing the title is a Nintendo Switch 2. In this way, if you get together to play with friends who may not all have the same game, everyone can play it. Anyway, if those who are sharing video games with this game share function are doing it locally, they can do it directly by connecting to the same Wi-Fi network. And if the users who are sharing with this function all have Nintendo Switch 2, they can do it online, obviously, if they are subscribed to the Nintendo Online service. Let's pause here a bit and explain this well so there are no confusions. You have a Nintendo Switch 2, hopefully, right? Do you have a Nintendo Switch 2? And here you have Street Fighter 6, so to speak? And you want to play with a buddy who has a Nintendo Switch, whichever one, Street Fighter 6? Well, would both need to have the game installed to be able to play like that? Each on their own console. Now, right? Now you can share your game and play with the other person. You on your console and him on his console. And that's it. If both have a Nintendo Switch, you can do this online, which is great. With up to 4 consoles, 1 that has the game and 3 others that are anywhere, sharing the title. The fine print of all this is that it's not going to be for all games. The titles, the publishers, the developers, they have to enable this function for Nintendo to allow you to use it. Some will do it, while others won't. Split Fiction will have that function as it's already available on PC and consoles. It functions differently but still has the feature. Fighting games likely have it too. Currently, only 1 game is confirmed, which is this board game. Nintendo says that in the future, more titles will arrive with this game share option share. These are all the features and functions that we have officially confirmed. There are many speculations about the console's weight, size, battery life, processor frequency, and other details. This is what we've confirmed so far. I'm unsure of the source for other claims. The price of the console, as I told you, is $450 or 470 euros, depending on the region where you are. In Latin America, we don't know how much it will cost. And the price of the games is also quite horrifying, because it comes with its life. And the fact is, for now, the only game we have confirmed price for, because it was the only native Nintendo Switch 2 game that was announced. It's the new Mario Kart, and this title is going to be released at a price of $80 or 90 euros. Yes, you heard right. The new Mario Kart costs $80 or 90 euros, even more expensive than a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And we're already entering the territory of another video, because we're going to talk about prices. We're going to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6. We have to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6. Because if Nintendo is daring to charge us 90 euros, $80 for a Mario Kart, hold on to your panties, because they're going to break our economy with Grand Theft Auto 6. We'll cover that in the next video. For now, we've covered enough information in this one. Tomorrow we'll talk about the confirmed titles, the versions and other things, and then we'll talk about the money, the prices, and all that stuff that's quite scary. Needless to say, I'm going to cover Nintendo Switch in depth, that there's going to be a lot of information this week, and I'm going to cover it all. I plan to bring Nintendo Switch 2 to the channel for testing and making videos. Are you interested? This that I have in my hands? A cool thing from Anbanik just arrived. I don't know when I'll make a video because there's no time now, Anbanik. Friends, thank you for watching. See you next time. And don't go without checking out this video, please. It's very important. And don't leave without commenting. What do you think about the price of the Nintendo Switch? Fair, unfair, or exaggerated?